Wallpaper is going to update this bedroom, give it some personality. Now, the key step to any wallpaper hanging job is prep. So check out our how-to video on prepping and measuring for your wallpaper project at lowes.com/videos. I'll also show you how to map out your room for hanging the paper. So with your room prep, get your tools together. And you can find kits that include pretty much everything you'll need. Now, you might also need paste or pre-pasted activator, but check to see what your paper manufacturer recommends. Now, if you are using pre-pasted paper, you can roll on the activator or you can use a water box. And remember, for the materials and techniques that work best for your paper, be sure to read the manufacturer's instructions. All right, let's get down to work. Now, you want to set up a large table to work on, either in the room or just outside of it. It'll make hanging your paper a lot easier. Also, place canvas drop cloths under the table and on the floor where you'll be working. All right, let's start with measuring and cutting. First, measure the height of your wall and add 2 inches at the top and bottom for waist, plus the amount you need for your pattern match. And cut your paper to this length. Now draw a vertical plumb line. That is a line that's straight up and down, lightly in pencil on the wall, about a ½ inch closer to the corner than the full width of your wallpaper. That way, you won't have a gap if your corner's not quite plumb. Now, this step is extremely important, especially if you're hanging paper with a vertical stripe or pattern. Now, if your paper isn't pre-pasted, apply a clear, heavy-duty adhesive to the back using a roller. If your paper is pre-pasted, following the instructions, use water or a pre-pasted activator to wet the adhesive. For this step, you'll dunk your cut pieces in a water box. Just don't leave it in there too long. Or you can roll the water or activator onto the back. Make sure you coat it evenly and generously, going over the edges. Now, once your paper is wet, gently fold it over on itself, paste to paste, lining up the edges. And make sure you don't crease it. Your product instructions may call for you to let the wet paper set. This is called booking and will help prevent bubbles in the paper later. You might want to place your paper in a plastic bag with a sponge or a wet cloth to keep it moist while it sets. Now, to hang the paper, unfold it and work from top to bottom, lining up this edge of the paper with your line. Now, you don't want to stretch the paper, just slide it as necessary. Then smooth it using your hands and a wet sponge. Follow up with your smoothing tool to work out any bubbles. Use gentle pressure to avoid tearing the paper or overspreading the adhesive. Then use a straight edge and snap-off razor knife to cut the excess from the top, bottom, and corner. Then hang the next piece basically the same way as the first. Now, you want to match your pattern and butt the seams together. Don't overlap them. Now, double check to make sure your seams are straight. Now, since clean seams make all the difference in a wallpaper job, you want to set each seam with a clean, damp sponge. Now, if needed, you can use a seam roller, but don't overroll and force the paste out of the seam. Again, cut off the excess, keeping your straight edge between the knife and the paper. And use a fresh blade for each piece. And wipe off any excess adhesive with a wet sponge. Then just continue hanging the paper around the room, matching the pattern, butting the seams, and working out any bubbles. Now, when you're working around windows, doors, or other obstacles, you'll use scissors to make a relief cut. Hold the paper firmly to avoid tears, and cut on a 45-degree angle to the point of the corner. Then smooth down the paper and cut off the excess. Another thing you might encounter is an obstacle that's curved, like a sink or a bathtub. Here's what you do. Make a few relief cuts to let the paper hang around the object. Then make small relief cuts along the contour. Use your smoothing tool to butt the paper against the edge, then trim. Now let's talk about corners. If you're working around an inside corner from left to right, smooth the left side first, gently pushing the paper into the corner. But don't smooth out the right side yet. Now cut through the corner before you lay the right side using your smoother as a trim guide. This will give you a little bit of an overlap in the corner. Now gently lay down the right-hand side and make a pencil mark at the edge. You'll use this to strike a new plumb line. Next, peel back the inside corner of the right-hand side and lay a thin bead of seam adhesive on the edge of the paper in the corner. Now slide the right-hand side into the corner, matching the pattern and covering the seam adhesive. Use your plumb line as a reference. However, the paper edge does not have to be on the line. For outside corners, hang the paper against the wall. Then make a small relief cut at the top and bottom of the corner so you can easily wrap the piece around the corner. With one side smoothed down, start in the middle and smooth the paper against the corner. Now here's where you'll want to use a bit of pressure to make a nice, clean, straight edge corner. Then smooth it to the wall. And that's it. When you're done, all you have to do is stand back and admire your work. Wallpapering can really create an amazing space. And with a little patience, it can make a drab or neutral room come alive. This homeowner wanted a new look for their bedroom, and with help from Lowe's, they got it. We changed the ceiling light and added a few extra lamps, swapped out the old switch plates, added new curtains, placed a rug on the floor, and painted accent walls for a whole new look.